So I came across this article on 5 reasons I still don't own or see a point in buying a gaming handheld, and I want to go through this. Obviously, I am very pro handheld, but I want to go through this with an open mind and see if these points are legit, if any of them hold any water, or if I just flat out disagree with them. And to help and to give more input, I have my cousin Pat with me.
What's up?
Yeah, so let's go through this. I'll leave the article link below the video if you guys want to check it out, and let's do this. So the first point here, we're gonna go in descending order. So point 5 here is labeled, quote, I don't like small screen PC gaming. Pat, any initial thoughts here?
Yeah, so I think there's a few angles of looking at this. When you're looking at someone who's actually going to be buying one of these devices, they are not looking for a traditional PC gaming experience. They want something that's a little bit more hybrid in the fact that if they want, they could connect it to a monitor and get that big screen experience, but also it's something they could use on the go, use on the couch, and use in more comfortable situations.
Yeah, so the small screen, I mean, I can understand what this guy's saying, that when you're playing your favorite game, sometimes like a 7-inch display is difficult to enjoy. And I mean, that's a big reason why I'm a fan of the larger handhelds.
It really depends on the games you're trying to play with it, right? A lot of competitive shooters, yes, you're not going to want to play on a 7-inch screen because it's physically hard to see what you're looking at. But if it's a story-driven game or even something like Cyberpunk, this is an incredible way to experience that because it can be really cinematic. They're really good at hiding UI elements when you don't need them. It looks really nice. You get to utilize more of that screen. So again, I think it's just a use case by use case basis.
Yeah, so point 5 here, I would have to disagree. I think it just comes down to buying the right handheld for your purposes. You want to introduce 4?
Yeah, this one's stupid bullshit.
I don't want to waste too much time on this one.
Yeah, he's literally talking about how like he doesn't want.
It's like a filler. I don't think it's
it's like he's trying to talk about how like he doesn't want to like play like while he's with his girlfriend or some shit. Like that's such a dumb knock. But okay,
yeah, it's filler.
Yeah, it's filler, exactly. They needed 5 points and they couldn't think of a 5th. This is another pretty filler one. When the author says, I have other ways to pass the time when traveling. Again, this is a super, super subjective point, and this is very specific to this individual. Some people, when they're on a long flight, want a game, right? Or if they have a little bit of downtime when they're traveling, they want to pull out a gaming experience. There are other people, of course, that have other wants, right? Like reading or listening to music, like they're saying.
Yeah, you can't compare. But, you can't say gaming handhelds are bad because you like to listen to music instead.
Exactly.
But I think the bigger point he's trying to make here is that if you have another device like a phone that can game, why would you also need a handheld game PC? And here, I think, again, it comes down to the type of handheld game PC. There are some like this one from Razer that legitimately runs Android and it's super similar to a smartphone. And I think in this case, absolutely not. Don't waste money on the secondary device if you have a decently modern, good smartphone. But then other devices like the X1 that's massive, it runs full Windows. I think that's clearly different enough than a smartphone to bring real benefits.
Yeah, and I think in conclusion with this point, a big thing to look at is it just depends on the type of experience you're looking for, right? If you want a more console-like or even semi-PC-like experience, these devices really are for you. But if you just want really casual games that are best suited for a phone, then it makes sense for you.
Swift moving on to point 2. Okay, this one hits pretty close to home, actually. This is probably the strongest point he has here, and it's, quote, gaming handhelds suck at battery life. And then the subtitle here is less than 2 hours for AAA gaming.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just a weak point of gaming handhelds right now. They run the x86 chip architecture, which compared to most other mobile devices have terrible efficiency.
Yeah. And for context here, those handhelds we looked at with 80 milliamp hours, right? What's the battery life on those? Is it better than 2 hours? It must be, right? Or is it still around that?
Yeah, so they're moving in the direction of massive batteries to help compensate. And yeah, so my Legion Go gave me about 2 hours of, I think the 4K video playback was 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that has roughly a 50 watt hour battery.
Okay.
So the 80 watt hour batteries found in the new Ally X will be So we're talking like 4 hours of
Yeah,
4K
yeah.
video playback. So
Yeah.
better, but still nowhere close to like a phone, a tablet, and other things that we're used to.
Yeah, and again, the one thing I think can be used to counter this point, because I think it's important to look at both sides, is that if you have the ability to transport something like this, again, these handhelds are still pretty large. It's very easy to just throw in a high capacity, like portable battery, and then you could
Yep.
greatly extend the life of this device. And for most use cases, I do think 4 hours is probably enough. Like, certainly 10 hours would be better, right? But for most cases, it probably still works.
Yeah, I mean, if we compare this to a gaming laptop, which you might take with you on a plane ride, then this has the advantage because the battery life is roughly the same as a laptop,
Exactly.
but you have the ability, like you said, to plug in a USB battery bank. And a lot of times,
Yeah.
bigger laptops, they draw too much power, and you can't
Exactly.
do that.
Yeah, and another important thing to realize there, if you have like a really traditional gaming laptop with a dedicated GPU, those are so power hungry when you have like discrete graphics. So this ends up actually being one of the most compelling ways to optimize battery when you're on the go.
Yeah, so it depends how you frame it. If you're comparing this to a
Exactly.
smartphone, battery life is terrible. If you compare this to a big, bulky gaming laptop, battery life is actually pretty good.
So, and the last point they give is that if I want to break from my desk, I'll just go to a console instead of using a handheld. I think this point actually is a really good one. So much so that I think we're going to make another video in the future specifically talking about the pros and cons and benefits and downsides of consoles versus handhelds. So I have a few things I want to say about this one. I totally get where they're coming from, where they say, if we're away from a desk, it's really nice to just lounge on the couch, sit in front of the TV, have a really nice controller that's super ergonomic, and play on usually a much more powerful machine like what the PS5 would be.
It's an interesting comparison. Like you said, we're definitely going to do a dedicated video of something like the Nintendo Switch versus a
Yeah.
PC handheld, because the way I see it, these handheld PCs are a lot more similar. They're kind of a middle ground between a console and a traditional
Yeah.
PC desktop.
Exactly.
So they have their pros and cons. You can use one of these handhelds on the couch in a very similar manner to a console, but have access to Steam games if you have a big library on the PC platform, and they have that mobile aspect to them as well.
I think in conclusion, we largely disagree with a lot of points on this article, other than the points about the console and battery life being very legitimate arguments. It really just comes down to this. When you're buying a device like this, you have to see what your specific use case is going to be. If you're looking for on-the-go gaming that is performant and has a decent balance of battery life, these are definitely for you. But if you're only going to be using this while you're sitting at home on your couch, then yeah, in that case, a console probably is better, to the point of this author.
Yeah, I largely agree. Generally, I'm a big fan of handheld game PCs. I think they are a great, versatile device that is good in a lot of different scenarios. So I'll leave this article linked below the video if you guys want to check it out. Also, I'll leave Pat's channel linked below the video as well, because our follow-up video comparing PC gaming handhelds to consoles will take place on his channel. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.